All right, good day, good afternoon, as I'm recording this. To all of you, this is Gary Ryan with the Fed League Flash, and yeah, we're doing a Monday video. Now, I'm recording this Sunday afternoon, but I'm going to be posting this early on Monday, and this is relating to a very important, what I feel is a very important question to ask. Is the league as it expands, um, is it doing too much, too soon, too fast? That's the question. All right. Um, and we're going to be getting into this a little bit now. I want to preface this by saying that there could potentially be an announcement made as early as today by the league regarding the shape and scope of the league this season. There is going to be confirmation one way or the other, 13 teams or 14 teams, no later than Friday. Now, before we get into this, though, I wanted to quickly give a shout out. Normally, I wouldn't do this, but I think this is pretty cool. I got a notification today that I got a new subscriber to the YouTube channel here. And I thought, that's a familiar name. So I want to give a shout out to Bruce Shoebottom. I know, unconventional name, but let me tell you, this guy, NHL player, played 35 games with the Boston Bruins. I think it was pretty cool that uh, he found this channel and subscribed to it. Bruce, I remember you playing as a member of the 1985 to 86 Binghamton Whalers. That would have been your first professional year. And yeah, big bruising defenseman. Was second in the team with penalty minutes. I want to say it was like 230 penalty minutes, something like that. Um, yeah, great defensive anchor. I seem to remember, you'll have to comment down below and let me know. I seem to remember you being paired up with either John Mokosak or Timo Bloomquist on that team. I think that was your primary defensive pairing. I want to say it was Mokosak, but I'm not 100% on that. I also seem to remember you being on the P2 that Coach Plo had you on the P2. But anyway, yeah, I remember you. So thank you for subscribing, and that's pretty cool. I was 16 at the time watching you play, so that was pretty neat. All right, so today, getting back to the expansion, we're going to rely on this. The whiteboard is going to be featured on the tablet today. Um, Rather than me doodling, etc., figured we'd take snapshots and put everything on here. So for the rest of the video, we're going to go through a graphic of geographically how the league has expanded since its beginning in the 2010 season to where it is today. Talking about travel costs, because that's a big consideration in talking about this. Is the league doing too much? Is it biting off more than it can chew? It's a real concern that I have, and I know other people do too. A lot of other people have said, let's slow down a little. All right, so we're going to look at this all the way from 2010 to what we're looking at for this upcoming season and potentially even beyond. All right, so I'm going to pause this, change the camera angle so you don't have to see my face. You can be looking at this and without me, fiddling with it. So here we go. All right, so the beginning of the league, pretty humble. 6 teams, 5 in New York State, and 1 here in Danbury, Connecticut. Very compact league. Um, and small beginnings. So the biggest travel distance was between, um, let's see, I got to do this backwards. Akwesasne up here at the top, all the way down to Brooklyn. Take on the Brooklyn Aviators, uh, old NEHL team. So the distance between those 2 points was 383 miles, which was a little over 6 hours of a drive. And yeah, really was a bus league, very much so. But the league had visions for expansion. So let's see. We go to 2011. We have the first iteration of the Danville Dashers. Way out here. Everybody else is out here in New York. Also, an expansion team in Vermont up by Burlington, the Vermont Wild. That didn't last very long. But anyway, as you can see, um, everything's still pretty much over here. Uh, Actually, this was, there's also Metro New Jersey there. So you had Wayne, New Jersey, and Brooklyn pretty close to each other. Um, and yeah, so now we had 8 teams. That didn't last very long. But yeah, now we had some travel costs for Danville. Distance between Danville and Cape Cod, which was transplanted from Binghamton, that was, uh, let's see, where was it? Oh, yeah, 16 hours, over 1,000 miles. Still doable, but not ideal. So the question was in 2012, could we make this a little bit better? Well, kind of. We added a team in Dayton, Ohio. And that was a good middle point there. Uh, cut down on the travel costs, kind of serve as a buffer. The league at this point is kind of going through some struggles. We're down to 6 teams. And so during this year, now the longest trip is from Danville to Danbury. All right. Not to confuse the Dans. 13 hours, 867 miles. So yeah, it's a little bit better. Unfortunately, the league was going through some issues, and by 2013, we're down to 4 teams. It's just Watertown and Danbury over here, and Dayton and Danville. Some real struggles going on at this point. So, again, the league had visions on expansion. Now, the question is, going from year one to year two, did they go too fast? Did they go too soon? That is a good question. Possible. Economics were a little different at this point. So we go to 2014, and suddenly, we fill in a little bit, although things have stretched out some more too, because now we have a team up here in Massachusetts, the Berkshire Battalion. So now Danville's longest trip goes from 867 miles to 889 miles up to Berkshire, Massachusetts. All right. They also had a team down here in the Pittsburgh area called the Steel City Warriors. So, but that only lasted the 1 year. So it was time to try and grow the league again because Berkshire wasn't performing too well. So let's see what they came up with. I do have to do a couple pauses because for some reason these loaded out of order. 2015, we now have a team in Berlin, New Hampshire, way up at the top of the state. All right, still 6 teams, but now we had a little bit more balance. We had 3 teams here in the Midwest, Port Huron joining. And you had just the 3 teams left over here in the original footprint, if you will. Now, this was last year for Dayton. They were playing in a horribly outdated arena. maybe mercifully after the season and ended up getting wiped out by a tornado. But yeah, the hockey in Dayton was just not sustainable because of the facilities. They were pretty bad. So, time to move to 2016. All right. Besides, despite the travel difficulties, I mean, Danville lasted for 9 seasons. Yeah, we still had Berlin way over here. We had a team now up in Cornwall, just above the New York border. In Canada, we had two teams over here. We had the South Shore, or I'm sorry, the St. Clair Shores Knights, and to go along with Port Huron. St. Clair Shores, just a couple miles from where Motor City is today. Um, so now we're looking at, that we still have that long trip all the way up to Berlin for Danville. Over 1070 miles. It's like a 17-hour trip. Yeah, it was just too much. So we go to 2017, and this was at this point. Now we have a team in North Shore. That's why it's here in Canada, near London, Ontario. And we also had our first expansion into the South, which actually has turned out pretty good, I think. The Carolina Thunderbirds joined. Yeah, that was a big stretch with the footprint, but that's proved to be a good move. I think everyone can agree to that. And Carolina has been one of the more successful teams on the ice as well for the league. So here we go. Trying to round things out a little bit more because there's a lot of space here in the middle. So, what can we do about that? All right. So, yeah, it's let me see if I can angle this better. Now we have Carolina, Watertown, Port Huron, Danville, and we have new teams in Elmira and Mentor. Mentor, that was a good location. That's again a good kind of in between spot. Ohio really would be good for this league if we could get into a market and somewhere in Ohio. But it just hasn't worked out. Mentor was a smaller rink, it just wasn't drawing. Mentor, that's a suburb of Cleveland, by the way. 2019. This was the first attempt by the league to go to 10 teams. All right, we had now Port Huron and Battle Creek, the ill-fated Battle Creek Rumblebees. We had our second team in the South, the Columbus River Dragons. Hockey had succeeded for many, many years in Columbus before with the Cottonmouths in the SP. So right now we've got and we got to return to Danville or Danbury, excuse me. Danbury was out for a while, but yeah, now we had a nice balance. We had two teams down south. We had three teams in the Midwest, four if you include Mentor. We had the Delaware. Oh, Delaware, you really can't see it, but there's a little red dot there in Delaware. So this was the first move into 10 teams. This, of course, was the COVID year. So things didn't work out really too well there, or did it? So a couple teams folded after the season, Battle Creek and Mentor. So we were left with four opted out for the season. So we only had four participating. There was kind of a round robin tournament, the Ignite Cup. That Columbus will say that's their championship, and well, it wasn't really. It was just the four teams. But plans were to come back once everything smoothed over with COVID. The plan was to come back a lot stronger for 2021. And in fact, the league did. All right. So 7 teams this year. Still have Port Huron. Danville's gone. Danville, unfortunately, COVID didn't kill them. Politics did. But nonetheless, we still had our 2 Southern teams. We still had 4 teams up here in the Northeast and 1 team in the Midwest. Travel is a little easier. Watertown to Columbus, 17-hour bus ride, but you know, there's still a lot of room to fill in the middle here. So, indeed, they did. In 2022, they went back to 10 teams. And you can see now we got Binghamton, Elmira, and Watertown in New York. We have a second team, the addition of the Motor City Rockers in Michigan. We also had, we had Mississippi, which kind of got cut off by the picture. But Mississippi is down here. All right, so the league is once again expanding and on the grow. 2023, this last year, this is the 11 teams that we got to know. Of course, at the end of the year, Elmira, things didn't work out there, so they were not exactly dormant. Obviously, things worked out where they could move to the Hudson Valley area. So here we go. But you see, there's a big expansion now. Baton Rouge, all the way up to Watertown. That is a 1,500-mile trip, 24 and a half hours by bus. And that's why the schedule was so weird this last year. All right. So let's look ahead to what's being proposed for this upcoming season. So now we have the return of Danville. We have our southern teams. We have Blue Ridge and Carolina and Athens added in. We have Hudson Valley over on the other side of Binghamton near Danbury there. Those are very close. And then we got a question mark here. Beaumont, Texas. That was Sunday's video talking about are they in? Are they not? We're going to know for sure by the end of this upcoming week. But as you can see, we've got a huge amount of distance here. I said in yesterday's video, if you had traveled between Beaumont to Watertown, that is almost 1,700 miles, 24 hours. Is this really a bus league now? And, we still have all this space in here, no teams. There's a lot of markets in this mid-Atlantic area, Midwestern area. We don't have a team there. Why not? I don't get it. Now, this gets even more interesting as we look ahead to potential sites that the league is investigating. All right. In the green, we have Beaumont, Texas. We have near Arlington, Texas, being examined. We have Topeka, Kansas. We have Central Illinois. We have Monroe, Louisiana. All right. The X here, this is kind of like we talked about pod scheduling. So you have your northeastern region over here. You have a midwestern region here, southeastern, southwestern. Now there's a couple of blue teams, blue dots, and the reason for that is because there's some question as far as the lease agreements are up for Motor City and for Mississippi. Will they continue? Will they relocate? What'll happen there? We don't know. So I just put them in blue for now. But we have a lot of green. I also heard that there's possibility of a Mississippi team. So yeah, you've got this westward expansion. Obviously, you can't play every other team because it just doesn't work. This isn't a bus league, but okay, as it is, even if you stay within your pods, is this a bus league? Is the travel costs really conducive to the business model and the budgets that the teams have and that the league has to operate? Or are we looking at too much, too fast, way too soon? This is a concern that I have. And, I just wanted to kind of put those graphics there for you. As you saw, everything got so spread out And now, what was that line in the Lord of the Rings? Bilbo Baggins said something about spreading uh, too much butter over too little ham, or something to that effect. That's what I am concerned about. The strain on some of the markets that aren't doing as well financially with travel costs. Uh, what is that going to do to them? There's certain teams that can probably handle the added travel costs, and because they're doing so well. But you don't want to strain everybody with those costs. Um, I really think it's time. This is just my opinion, but I want to express it. My own opinion is, if you're going to expand, take that middle area and really push to get teams in that area in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana. I mean, there's rinks all over the place. Um, Filling in that area is going to alleviate travel costs, and you can still increase the size of the league instead of spreading way out west and way. I mean, I worry that it's too much. So yes, this is a longer video, but I wanted to put this out. Again, a real concern that I have, and it's not just me. I know a lot of other people have come to me and said, "Do you think this really can work?" Not long term. Not long term. Again, with the budget and the business model of this league, no. Um, Team owners can't afford to fly their players from here to there. It's just too much. It may happen once or twice in a year, but for the most part, bus is how you go, and it's got to stay that way if you're going to continue operating in this kind of financial model. So there you go. I'm just putting this out, and I don't want this to be like a doom and gloom piece. But again, is it time that the league kind of lays off the gas a little bit and holds off and slows the progress of growth? You don't stop growth, obviously. You want to continue to grow, but are we repeating the mistakes that a league like the Colonial League, later known as the UHL, made in just expanding to so many markets over such a wide area, and then as one team failed, it kind of cascaded into another team close by failing until eventually the whole league failed. That's what we don't want to see, and that's what I'm hoping that we can avoid. So this is my plea. This is my unofficial plea. Don Kiernan and the FPHL, uh, please slow down. We want to keep this thing. This is a good thing. We want to keep it going. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. Leave a comment down below. Make sure you're hitting like and subscribe as well. Follow me on Facebook. Tuesday, we will have news and notes. We may have a big announcement that we'll be talking about, or it may be later on in the week. All right. Thank you for joining me. I'm Gary Ryan for the Fed League Flash. We'll catch you next time.